Incineration Nation, I see you are here and ready to rock. Love seeing you guys here. Can you hear me? Uh, are you able to hear me? Okay. So as you can see, um, Natalie's not here, so I had to go on just so I could tell you guys. She didn't tell me anything. I haven't heard from her, so I hope the hell she's okay. I don't think she's someone who forgets, appointments too easily. Um, so I think we should just BS a little bit and see if she stops by, and if she does, great. Um, Obviously, I just hope she's okay. And I mean, she's the one who came up with the time, Rachel. So I just said yes, and uh, you know, so yeah, I'm incredibly disappointed, but like I said, I just hope she's okay. That's all. I don't think this is something that she does often. Um, Nancy, do you have any way of getting a hold of her? Because the one thing I didn't do was get her number. She has my number, but um, maybe Nancy can call her, and if she did forget. Otherwise, like I said, I just hope she's okay. So, you know, um, it's all good. It is what it is. Uh, so, how's everybody? Hi, Jennifer. Uh, oh, I know. Not for 1 second did I think this was intentional. I just didn't want you guys to be waiting, till whenever. So I figured I'd just come on, and then when she gets in here, um, we'll go. Um, yeah, my birthday's Friday. I gotta go. I haven't been to my spot, Rach. Uh, oh, good. Thank you, Sandy. And Sandy or Nancy, if you can just let her know, go to the email that she sent. The email chain we're on. The link is right there. So, um, uh, how is Roxy and Hope? Hope was starting to irritate me because she just keeps trying to hop up on stage and getting angry about it. And I've been working on some of the Roxy stuff, but I'm a super stickler, so I want it to be perfect. Um, I'll be 56, yeah, which sounds incredibly old, by the way. 56, holy shit. Thank you, Brooke. It's so good to see you. I think about you all the time. I hope you're okay. Oh, good, Jen. You got to suffer with me. I just remember like when I was 21, 22, and I found out uh, Steven Tyler was like 38. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that's so old. All right, me and Taz. Well, you guys feel my pain, so that's good. Oh, thank you, Angela. I thank you. Oh my God, Sin, you do enough. Thank you so much. I'm a baby. I'm a baby. Isn't it weird when you say it? It sounds so much older. Like I don't feel decrepit, but geez. Johnny Midnight's older than Archie Bunker. Oh, that's a horrible thought. Oh my God. Thank you, Santa. Thank you, Erie, and thank you, Brooke. You guys are amazing. But uh, I mean, I'm cool with it. It's a lot better than the alternative. So I'm down with getting older. If you're older than Archie Bunker, I'll put a 1 in the chat. Oh my God. Yeah, it doesn't really bug me at all. It's just weird to hear it. And then certain things like you hop on a roller coaster and it almost kills you, and you're like, well, I don't remember that happening. You know, uh, little things like that. Buckled up. I'm just a kid. You know what I found out was funny the other day too? I fall asleep to Pup Groomer's stream probably 2, 3 nights a week. And then Rika said she does too. And then who was it? Was it Eaglewood? Was it you? But anyway, like a bunch of people fall asleep to Pup Groomer's stream, which is pretty darn funny. Oh yeah, Eaglewood. It's all good. She gets here when she's here. Um, all right, Fat Grammy. So good to see you. I wouldn't be surprised if Fat Grammy wins the war by herself. Oh, Angela, you do too? I wonder if Pup Groomer has any idea we all use her site to go to sleep. I mean, I love her to death and I love her show, but I'm up at 5 a.m. every day, clockwork, and so 9:30, 10, pretty hard to keep it open. Oh, now Rachel's a baby. Look at that. I'll be 46 in December. Yeah. Is Magnus from Tulsa in the room? Yeah. That's oh, by the way, guys, remember how when I did the riding with Raider but for Tony, and that's still up and you can still watch that, and I don't even know why, but the last like 4 of them I've done are blocked worldwide, baby. So if you want to see in the last one, I really thought this last one was amazing. I don't know who came to the beach with me, but the drive was amazing. The songs were amazing. We were crushing it. with the 60s. I mean, we were killing it. And then the dolphins. You guys see the dolphins up close? It was an amazing stream. But anyway, if you're interested in that stream, you got to see it live because it's just blocked worldwide. Oh, and it's only because I have like 56 copyright strikes. They can't take a joke. Yeah, so it's if you're interested, I do those at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I run them, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever, until a couple hours on the beach. Oh, look who's here. Okay. Hey. Whoops, hold on. Whoops. Okay. Boom. Look who we
Hello. I am so sorry about that. I was just running around my neighborhood like a mad woman chasing two dogs. My daughter's dog is here and got out, and she's a runner. I am not a runner. It involves some screaming, a little bit of crying, and some neighbors to corral her, and we're all okay now.
Oh, good. I was worried. I was like, I was worried. I'm like, I know she doesn't forget. Like if it was me, I could totally forget. Because I'm goofy, but I knew you're just not built that way. So I was like, I hope she's okay.
But yeah, I'm so excited to be here and do this with you on the what do you call it? The Incineration Nation.
Yeah. We're so happy. Like my everyone who comes to my room was just, I knew they were gonna freak when they heard, and I think they're sharing my energy because you're literally my favorite person in this movement that I watch, and I'm a huge fan for a bunch of reasons, and you remind me a lot of my sister. You're like one of those super beautiful, loving, wonderful people who's accepting and amazing, but you're also like strong as a rock. You know what I mean? I know who you are. I know that person, and
I appreciate that so much. That's right. I'm here to spread the aloha, but if you take it too far, I will cut you.
For sure. and you've just spread so much love, and for some reason, like I focused on you a lot when things were going really crazy, and when I bursted my top, etc. And it's like seeing you go through everything was also damaging and healing and whatever you want to call it. Like I need 15 adjectives because I went through it all. So I felt like I totally understood you,
Yeah.
And and then the same thing with the healing. Like, we spend years watching, losing somebody. It's not overnight,
Yeah, exactly.
And then people are like, oh, in a couple of months, believe me, you'll be a lot better. And it's just like, it doesn't work like that. It takes however long it takes,
Yeah.
and I know getting it out, like I never dealt with any of the damage of losing my family. Like I haven't had to remember a service or anything for any of them, not one guy couldn't confront it. I was just left by myself. So dealing with that, and then finding this community and giving myself a positive outlet while it was fantastic was like double scary and crazy, because I just I love just knowing you right now for 2 minutes like this way makes me feel so good, because I don't have anyone. I got Nora and Farrell, but like just when you meet someone who's an ex-Scientologist that you want to speak, because I don't want to meet an ex-Scientologist who's not protesting. I don't care.
Yeah.
So to have that in my corner, in my pocket is so big for me, you know.
Yeah, community is everything. I totally get what you're saying, and that's probably one of my favorite things about being here on YouTube is the ability to connect with people who are ex-Scientologists, who are people never in Scientology, but all in on ending the cult, people from the First Amendment community, people who are just curious, whatever the reason is. It's a way to bring so many different people together, because when you talk about Scientology, in my experience, it's like, I don't know, I always loved bringing it up. I never shied away from it at parties and things after I left, because I wanted to talk about it. And it's interesting how interesting people actually found it. And then I realized, okay, it's just like it's been this evolution for me over 14 years of leaving Scientology and coming back to speaking about it and sharing about it and exposing Scientology in the way that I can on YouTube is something that I always wanted, to do. But so here I am doing it, and I'm with you. I appreciate this community has and is carrying me through, a difficult time. And the interesting thing about grief that I didn't realize was, you would hear how it would come in waves, and that's just kind of how it goes. It's like I'm fine, and then I'm not fine, and then I'm fine, and I'm not fine. And I'm just going with it and honoring those emotions, but also I'm really motivated by conversations that I had with my Tony. And for those that don't know, I lost my partner about 2 months ago. And I'm so glad we had those conversations, because we talked about what would happen after. And it was important to him for me to keep going with exposing Scientology and doing what I want to do here. And he also knew how happy it made me, because not much outside of my family makes me as happy as exposing Scientology does. I'm so thrilled to have an opportunity and a platform to be able to do that. And I'm so incredibly thankful and grateful for people, like yourselves, who are out there protesting, both ex-Scientologists and never been in Scientology, and working together. And it just feels so good. And it really shows that Scientology was so wrong about people, about your average person, about who they are, about their willingness to, or their ability to have compassion. It just completely blows me away constantly. And I think I started doing this in December, and it was perfect timing in many ways. So I'm just thankful and grateful that people show up every day. And as long as they keep showing up, I'll keep showing up. Maybe late, because I might be chasing some animals down the street like a crazy lady, but I will show up.
I mean, I never dreamed I would. I was the opposite of you in that way. Like, I never talked to anyone because I was always deathly embarrassed, of it, because I never had anyone. No one was ever cool about it. Like Nora, she hit it out of the park when I was on alive with her, and she said, and it was so perfect. Like there was, and I love it that you're in my age bracket, because Nora's a kid and the rest of them are all little kids. I'm turning 56 on your anniversary, so
Oh, you are? Happy
yeah.
early birthday.
So like for me, it was just like Nora said, it was like you're a Christian or you're Jewish or you're in a cult. No one was ever cool with Scientology. Like I never had someone go, "Can you tell me what that's all about?" They're like, "Oh, you don't know, that's just garbage," and I'm like, and so that also actually played into me believing that, okay, they just don't know, because
Yeah.
all of my terminals were you and Nora and other people who I thought were fantastic. So this person slinging mud, I'm thinking, you just don't know,
Yeah,
but
I think that there's much more acceptance for people, for ex-Scientologists than Scientologists. You know what I'm saying?
that's
Like
for
people
sure. That's for sure.
more willing to have the conversation and ask the questions when they know you're no longer in Scientology. But someone who meets a Scientologist, sometimes you're more apprehensive or because they have a reputation for, I mean, let's be honest, snapping and responding in ways that don't make sense and make it awkward. And I was able to find in leaving Scientology and realizing that a lot of, for me, I often say, I feel like I just got here, on the planet. That my time in Scientology, which was the vast majority of my life, 35 years, it was like being on a whole nother planet and world. And then coming into the world outside of that, I'm just fascinated by everything. A lot of times I feel like a kid in terms of what I'm curious about. I go to places, I touch things I shouldn't touch. I want to know. I want to know all the things. Chat GPT is like my best friend. I'm constantly laying there like, how do waves in the ocean happen? Just all these questions about the world, and there's no limit, especially with the internet. Anything that I'm curious about, I can get into and do a deep dive into, and I'm so amazed by that. But I think people are a lot more accepting after you leave Scientology, and it's an interesting topic. It is. And leaving and realizing that the things that in Scientology where I stood out, and not always in good ways in Scientology, were, mostly the things that made me me. And then coming out and being able to just be who I am while I'm still figuring out who I am. Because, you add to that, you've left a cult, but just all of the life changes that everybody goes through, even people never in Scientology. When you talk about if you've raised children and you become an empty nester, or you get a divorce, or you've had a death of a loved one, it's all change that I think we all can connect on those points. And I love being able to talk about that with people never in Scientology, because I like to see it through their eyes. How do they view this? And then you take people who are ex-Scientologists and having that validation of like, you saw it too, is
Yeah.
just fantastic. We were made to feel like there was something wrong with us because we didn't comply or agree, that we dared to disagree and question. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. I also, the reason why it's so powerful for me to speak to you and Nora and Farrell and anyone who, was in it's like I haven't said a bad word about Scientology till my family passed, because my sister still worked for Scientologists. So, and there was no way I was going to, jeopardize her. So I never said a bad word in my entire lifetime until they all passed.
Yeah.
And then it was actually Easter, right, when I first decided to go to Big Blue and just say thank you to anyone who was there, not to anyone in particular, to anybody who was protesting, and say, I just thank you so much. And that was the plan. That was it. And it just happened to be that Selfless was so nice to me at that moment that everything went perfect, where I was able to get everything off my chest and just be a manic mess and never finish a sentence. And I mean, I was all over the place, but it felt so good, like just to barf out a bunch of crap that I'd never said before. And it was like, I realized there was one thing about, being in Scientology is you become really, really good at being steeled. Like, I don't think I cried 3 times in 35 years. I've cried 72 times since Thursday. You know what I mean? It just, because I never let it out.
Yeah.
Never confronted it. Just buried it. And that's where it was going to stay, And when I saw this community, and that you could actually talk about it without people, just laughing or pointing or whatever, like is what I would have thought, that was unbelievable to me. And to have someone that you could talk to that would understand, like I felt like I won the lotto just when I said, my favorite day, I said to Laura, is when I became fast flow.
Yeah.
And to have someone understand that. I'm like, no more checkouts, MFers, you know what I mean? Star rate my ass. I'm going past all the MUs. you
Yeah, and
know?
recognize too, as even though there's things in Scientology that, we can look back on and go, "Oh, that was such BS." But at the same time, some of those things took a lot of work to achieve, and only someone who did it, even though BS, it was an accomplishment, to become a passport student and to not have to do, all those extra checkouts was like a feat. It was like the dream, for
Dude.
so I
uh, and it's another weird thing like that. I don't know if people would understand who weren't in that. Like, I hated Scientology. I knew it was bogus. The beauty of being a child is things are so black and white. And you can't tell me that that elephant is a giraffe. You can't tell me that. If I'm 38 and totally screwed up, you can get me to think that.
Mhm.
But not at 11. I'm like, BS, man. That's an elephant, right? So in a way, it saved me, but it was also horrific. So, so like the thought in my head was that only people like you would understand. Even though I hated it and prayed that I could somehow get out of there, if someone would talk shit about it, I'd be like, F you, right? Because it's the only group I have.
Yeah.
You are solo when you are in Scientology. You have friends there are none. It's just, that's it,
Yeah.
If
And you
you,
think the world like that, especially if you grow up in Scientology, you think that the world is that where there's really no, you can't have true, really trust is such a difficult thing, I think, for people in general, not even in Scientology, anywhere. But Scientology adds a twist to it in the ways where we're forced to, confess the interrogations, the security checks, it's always our fault. It's always something wrong with us. It's always something that we're hiding, where you're constantly basically thinking you're just this horrible person because you're just not conforming to something that you're told is this ideal of how you should be. And for many, and I think for all the people who end up leaving, it's because it's not who we are. And I think the only people left in Scientology are two types of people. I think it's the people who want to leave or at least have doubts, but their desire to make it work, they've put so much into it already, or they don't want to believe, or they're still buying the propaganda of the good things that Scientology is doing out in the world. And they truly want to help people. So they stick it out because they think that that's still possible despite the red flags. And the other type of person I think that remains in Scientology are people like Tom Cruise and David Miscavige.
yeah, I think there's a certain amount of people in there that are just bad people for it to exist. You can't, it's, I don't care what you tell me, what LRH policy you showed me, I'm not pushing that lady down the stairs. I'm not one of those kind of people that could do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so, everyone ends up being like how you get in for the right reasons, but then you can't. It's such an amazing trap. I don't know if you even know, but I did a series called Translating Hot Garbage, where I go through everything from the personality test to sec checks, and tell people my view of what the actual purpose of each TR is, etc. The
Ah,
actual purpose, because
mhm.
mind control, like, and by the way, just so you know, my conspiracy, because I can't think of it any other way. I personally believe LRH is one of the worst writers of all times. He's one of the worst orators, one of the worst. He's just horrible at everything. What he was great at was barfing up unbelievable amounts of stuff, volumes and volumes of garbage for 12 hours, and then going to do a 6-hour seminar, get a half-hour sleep, try it again. Like, that's what he was great at, was just pumping out volumes, which is what they needed.
Yeah.
But everything he ever wrote that he didn't just straight steal is inapplicable to anything, unusable, absolutely worthless in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yet the one thing that does work is the mind control. Okay.
Mhm.
And so I believe, and everything LRH ever touched turned to garbage. Don't forget that, right?
Yeah.
That's why they have to lie about everything, from the Boy Scouts to the Indians to, I mean, you know, everything that they've ever said has been proven 100% untrue. Okay.
Yeah.
He had pink eye and hemorrhoids, right? He wasn't a war hero who broke his back and was blind. So that alone already means the whole thing's bogus. But my point is, the only thing that worked is the mind control. And it's so genius that it takes anywhere from a year to 2 years for you to get stuck, in my opinion. And if you have family, then you're in really big trouble. So, you know, people like me, like I couldn't get away because I'd lose my family. My mom, she was the first one probably to realize it was bogus, because when she got through the wall of fire, I mean, she already knew it was like they oversold clear, right? So she's like, I can't find my glasses. You know what I mean? Where's my keys? And you know, that shouldn't be happening when you're clear.
Yeah.
So she hung in there. And then after Wall of Fire, she sort of was like how Leah Remini was, and just like, what? Like, you know, shit. You know, like, no way. And my sister got all the way through 7, but then they spoke just like Leah and her mom, you know, because anyhow, OTs can't talk to each other about any OT business. And, you know, heaven forbid you move a paper clip in front of me, I'm going to get pneumonia tomorrow, whatever. So, you know, but she was trapped. And my mom was a very, very smart woman. And she knew the only way to keep this family together was to keep sludging through this while she figured out another move. But it just didn't happen. So, and she just didn't want to lose everything. So, and she felt horrible, obviously, you know, putting us in there. But like, I went in, and I've always wondered this, and I haven't heard you talk about this. Like, I went in specifically to get my parents' love and affection, because Scientology families are just ridiculous. No one ever says I love you, ever. You know, I got to call my dad by his first name, you know, because we're not even related. You know, it just, you know, I was his uncle last life, you know, just, it's just nonsense.
What,
and
was it biological dad? You had to call him by his
yeah,
first. Is that's something your parents insisted on?
My dad did. My mom was virtually the only mistake my mom ever made was my dad. Other than that, she was fucking hitting it out of the park. But that was the mistake, in my estimation. So, but yeah, so I have to call him by his first name. You know, I could say mom. She let me do that, but and she was super loving. But like, my sister already, she's 2.5 years older. She already went in, quit school, and went in full time. And I saw the way she was being treated, and the love and affection was just staggering. And I was like left in the cold. You know, like I would come home from school and no one wants to hear what the hell I did or what, you know, and I was like, I should do this Scientology business. And sure enough, they perked up. Oh, okay. So that's the point. That's why I did it. It wasn't to try to get well or to reach some, you know, it was strictly, hey, look at me, I'm good too. But was that the deal with you?
I mean, in a lot of ways, there wasn't, you know, I don't remember a lot of, you know, hugging and I love you and affection that way from my mom or I mean, none of my stepdads. That just wasn't part of it. We just didn't grow up that way, but I just thought that was normal. And I had to, when I had children of my own, I couldn't imagine not hugging them and telling them that I love them. And even now when I talk to my adult children on the phone, I'm like, you know, before we hang up, I love you. I just can't imagine. And it wasn't like that. It so much wasn't like that. Then I remember at one point when my sister was in therapy and she came to me and she's like, we need to start hugging. And I'm like, what? I mean, I love my sister.
Oh, great.
You know, I would bury a body for my sister, but hug her? You know? I had to work into that. And I would hug, you know, my romantic partner. Like, I liked affection in that way, but in my mind, it was something that mainly, like, it's something reserved for my romantic partner. We hug each other. But then as I got to know more people out of Scientology and hugging my friends, and so then that became more normal to me, and that was something that I enjoyed. I'm a big hugger, but it was still difficult for me to hug my sister, who I was closer to than anyone, because we just never did that. We operated, I mean, even the way I describe who describes their childhood as operating together. It's so
Wow.
Scientology, the way that I thought about it. You know, I got like my daughter's dog is a shedder too, so I feel like it's just all over my face. It took some doing, and I give her credit for persisting on that, because she's like, "I'm going to hug you when I see you," and I'm like, "Okay, thanks for warning." And then
I love that.
I make a point then to hug her, and, like, I was at her house Monday night for she hosts a Ohana night most Mondays, and we all get together, and I try to make it when I can and, you know, hug each other.
Oh,
And
that's great.
time, but, you know, I gave her a hug, and she comes and she sleeps over at my house once in a while, and, you know, I give her a hug when she comes and goes. Now it's normal, now it's part of it, but for a long time, that just wasn't the norm, you know what I'm saying? Yet I couldn't
Yeah.
even not hugging my children, and I've talked to her about it because I thought maybe I just didn't remember being hugged, because there's a lot of things I don't recall about our childhood to the degree that she does. And there's parts that I do, and there's whole chunks that I don't, so we kind of fill in the blanks for each other. And I had to ask her, like, you know, "Am I remembering this correctly? Did we not grow up, like, with a lot of hugs and stuff?" And she said, "Oh, no, that yeah, no, you're remembering it correctly. I just thought my mom just only must be hugging my sister." You know, I just did it, and I would go to friends' homes after school, and I remember seeing the way their moms greeted them, and with a hug, and offered to make them a snack and get some juice for us, and I was just like, "What is happening here? This I'm gonna move in. I mean, this is like, you got a real good thing going with your mom here. What is this?" And I learned through my friends and experiencing moms in other ways that way, that there was a whole 'nother way to live and to be. But, you know, growing up that way, it's weird when you don't have something, how can you miss it or feel bad that it's not there? It's not until you experienced it for the first time, and if you enjoy it, that you go, "Whoa, I want this in my life." Um, Later on, you know, it's funny when my mom we left Scientology, and then 2 years later, she passed away. But in those 2 years, you know, we would hug more
Yeah.
after we left, but it took some doing, and I'm glad that I broke that cycle with my children, and, you know, they're very affectionate with their children and each other. So,
There was just no happiness. Like it was all facade. Like, um, I remember in the parking lot of Celebrity Center back when it was on La Brea before it moved to the Manor, and and I was in the parking lot with my father, and someone had asked him something about whatever, and he was trying to think of it, and I was like, HCOPL, 27 April 72, and he's like, oh man, thanks, and then my dad was like, well, I don't know, I might have been HCOB, whatever, and I'm like, no, and he's like, no, he's right, and I was like, I thought he'd be proud of me, like, that's so badass. We get in the car, and he just screams at me,
yeah.
don't you ever do that, da, 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 da. So in a Scientology family, it's like you can't win for losing.
Mm.
It's like, so the moods are such, like I saw my sister just getting like going from this bubbly, couldn't stop smiling, just wonderful person, like that everyone you just wanted to be around her, and to just getting more like dense and just like and unmoving and concrete and then by the time she was on the briefing course, like she'd lock herself in her room and I'd just hear her crying.
Mm.
She wouldn't talk to me or anybody
Yeah,
because you're an adult, like you let her handle it type of shit. Just like I'm 10 years old, I got to make my lunch, like you just said. I know the same thing when you go to friends' houses. I'm like, how do you score this deal? You know, I gotta I gotta make my own lunch. I gotta do everything. And then Scientology takes your parents away from you because even as public, you know, because you always hear about that in staff and Sea Org, but as public, you don't like. I'd come out of an auditing session and I just wanted to talk to someone, and I know I can't, right?
Yeah.
So the only person you can talk to is the CS. You ain't saying anything to the CS anyway. So I'd have all this stuff in my head, and like where I'd get fearful that everyone's a maniac because this person is a maniac that I'm auditing. And you can't talk to your mom, you can't talk to your dad, you can't talk to your sister, you can't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Just like when you're unhappy. I know I realized very quickly, if I let someone know I'm unhappy, it's just an ethics issue.
Yeah, it's a bad indicator.
And to the same extent, I went so far as to always have some bullshit stories already made up for my next auditing session when he says, you know, the earlier similar, because I don't have nothing, but I know I got to get through this, and thank God I understood the EPs so I could bullshit my way to them. But you know, and that's the great thing about co-auditing is it really does give you the answers, the cheat code, you know, to how we can get through this.
That's what you have to see to be done.
Right. So, but the point is you have nowhere to go. And so you start just internalizing everything. And then you don't even realize the problems you're with. Like my best friend in the world is still my best friend today, who went through that shit with me back then. And I never told him. And I told him everything. But it was because nothing good happens when you try to fix something in Scientology. You know, it just gets 100 times worse.
Well, because they don't see anything wrong or something that needs to be fixed. With, you know, you're not allowed to question L. Ron Hubbard and what he says. And it is, that's one of, I think, the saddest things in Scientology is what it does to family and what it does to children who are growing up in Scientology. Now, not everybody has the exact same experience. I also knew Scientologists who kept their children away. And these kids who then went to college, and it was just different. But a couple of them then ended up later on getting involved in Scientology and even joining staff. But I don't think it was through their parents doing, but the parents end up feeling like they're in a position where they can't deny this, because then they're not going to be allowed onto their next level if it's one of the, you know, operating Thetan levels, because they were counter, you know, the whole thing about being counter to command intention, counter to what L. Ron Hubbard wants. And we spend so much time growing up in that you're always, someone in my comments the other day talked about the difference between love and approval. You know, love is without strings. And when you're trying to get somebody's approval, or all you're giving is approval, it's very different. And that's kind of how I felt was what we were, at least speaking for myself, what I was striving for as a child. And then, you know, preteen and teen in Scientology and in the Sea Org was approval, not love. I wasn't seeking that because I didn't know what I was missing. I mean, honestly. And it wasn't until much later where, you know, you get more in touch with your emotions. I don't know. It kind of feels like it's like this rainbow. And if you don't experience all the colors, you don't see the beauty in all of it. You know what I'm saying? We were only allowed to, you can experience blue. Because L. Ron Hubbard said blue is good. Well, what if I liked purple or yellow or whatever? You can't do that. So you can never experience the all of life and all of the different nuances, all of the choices. That's the thing that even today blows my mind. It's like the amount of choices that people have in life outside of Scientology and that we have now, for me, sometimes feels very overwhelming. Even like, I mean, sometimes as simple as going to the grocery store. I don't like going to the grocery store. I get as many things delivered as I can because looking at the app, there's less choices on Instacart than as if you go into the store. It still feels very overwhelming in ways because I grew up working with whatever I was given. When I was in the Sea Org, I made it work with whatever I was given or allowed to have. You made it work, you made the most of it. And now I'm at a point in my life where it's like, I could do anything, within reason. It's like, what do I want to do? I don't know. That's part of why I want to go around and meet people in the community and interview other streamers and content creators and see some other places. Like I have traveled in my life, but not from the point of view of, look, what is it that I want? What is it that makes me happy? Besides handing Scientology their ass. I mean, that's like
Right.
up there. But to do that and to go visit other people and see where they live and see what they're doing and see if any of that makes sense to me. Because the only thing I know with certainty is outside of my family is that I want Scientology to end and I want other cults to end. So that's the thing I know I want. But there's so much more to life than that. But growing up in Scientology and being the Sea Org, we get very focused on one goal, when you have a goal. And now I'm like, okay, I can have other goals or other things. And I have had some of those over the years since I left Scientology, but I was still raising children. I've never been where I am right now, where it's just, if I go into the grocery store, it's just like, okay, what do I like? What do I want? I don't even know. I mean,
Yeah.
the grocery store is a dumb example, but you know what I mean? It's like getting out there and like, someone said, well, what about hobbies? And I'm like, okay, well, I've done a few things here and there as hobbies, but nothing where, it's just really got me the way that handing Scientology their ass does. So I think it's my hobby, it's my job, it's what I enjoy, but there's so much more to life. So I guess what I'm saying is I want to go around and visit people and do interviews with them and share it with my audience while also trying to figure out seeing different things and going, okay, what do I want? Where do I want to be? What do I want to do in addition to what I'm already doing here on YouTube? And it's going to be interesting. I'm going to take my first trip next week.
All right.
Not sharing where yet, but I basically have 2 that are pretty much set now. And
Neat.
yeah, there's people I'm going to meet with and interview and share with the community, people who the community already knows about, and see places and go, all right, well, what's here? What do I enjoy? I don't know. I need to try a lot of things.
I love that you're in that headspace too, because like the Scientology, it's so good at making you internalize everything and uh with just the fear of what'll happen if you don't. But it's not just like then we're just miserable people sitting at home. Scientology is so evil that they found a way to make you the most miserable person in the world, but then still be smiling and happy to everybody. So people think you're doing well. And like I would literally be in the back seat, with my sister, and I was on the Ned course, and I think she was, I don't know what she was doing, class something or other. And because remember the Ned course before it came before the levels. That's when I did it. And then they switched it because no one was getting through the Ned course. It was taking 3 years. So it was like
that course then, so now it's on the training side.
well, yeah, but it was just that it used to come before the levels, and now the levels come before Ned because anyone can get through the levels, but Ned was a monster. So people were just piling up on it, and they need more money. So they switched it around. But anyway, I was on the Ned course, and she was doing whatever. And I just remember we were just both just super miserable. And then like the second we get out of the car, at Celebrity Center, like we moved it to the Manor, and it's like we're like celebrities, because at the time there wasn't any kids in there. So there was just me and my sister. My sister was already like a superstar beyond belief, so but I knew like we were both super unhappy, but we'd act like, and I'm just like, this is so psycho. It's so psycho to be going through that, but do it all the time. You know, I couldn't have been more unhappy. It just wasn't possible. And like I said, I was attesting to stuff that I knew I didn't have, you know, but I knew how to get the whole place clapping like seals, and so it was just playing this horrible game, and then not getting the respect from my parents. Like nothing worked out. It just nothing worked out. So when I finally got out of it, I was working for Scientologists, and then the guy bought me my IAS membership and the Pura. So I was sort of screwed on that deal. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to go do, but I thought maybe this will be the one thing that's above board, like, just to get people in, like a lose some fat type of thing. Maybe he came up with one chill, like maybe be like the way to happiness type of bullshit, where it's not going to kill me. And of course, the Pura, it's ridiculous. So it was the worst thing ever. And they had me on 1 billion milligrams of, niacin, and I was staying on the top shelf for 6 hours, and I just had it. I had enough. So after that, I never ever did another service, and wouldn't at gunpoint. And but it made it really bizarre too, because then I had to start being like my dad always had excuses for not being online. So then I sort of had to adopt his valence, of why I'm not on, because I'm doing this and that, and so just more lies and bullshit. When in fact the only time I felt even remotely okay was when I was not around any Scientologist, and I didn't realize my sister didn't tell me before till a year before she died. We found out we were on the same exact path. Like my sister ended up going all over the planet. She went to like 90 countries. I mean, she went to places that like you're not supposed to go, like, let alone by yourself as a woman, I mean, she went to like Sudan and shit, like places that are like, what the fuck are you doing? She went to Syria and all these places, but yet she had friends everywhere. And she's like, yeah, we're eating this fucking goat milk dessert, the fuck ever, and almost cracked my tooth on this shit. She's riding a moped through the desert. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But she was looking for family, and I was doing the same thing. Like I was glomming on. If I found a girl that had I loved Italian women because they always had these huge ass families with 17 brothers, 7 cousins, 4, and I just glommed onto that shit. It was so neat, and like, wow, Sunday 3 o'clock, everyone gets together to eat, and like everything you were saying, I was just like starved for that shit, and never ever had it. So I would just glom onto other people's families. And she was doing the same thing, trying to find, where do I fit in? Where is there someone who will take me, as me, and not this bullshit deal. And so we didn't even know, like, because I couldn't say nothing. My sister can't say nothing. My mom can't say anything. My dad, he ended up believing that the tech is good, but the people running it weren't. He went down that road, right? But even my mom would say, like, okay, well, if that's the road you're on, how come you're not going down it? Like, why don't you go? Why don't you go? What are you doing? Like, you're not even doing that. Yeah. And he'd come up with a bunch of bullshit. And but the last 2 years, like when everyone had full blown cancer, it definitely, people, like, I was working like a maniac. I was going to Gelson's and getting $180 a week worth of stuff so they didn't have to cook or do anything, just deli, right? All their awesome deli crap. And then I'd go get my sister. It's right next to Blue. There's a big place there that just sells vegan stuff, and I go get all her, and that stuff's expensive. I mean, I am paying out $1,000, $1,200 a month of my money just buying them stuff, and I can't tell you how many errands I'd run and what and in a way, because they saw me bust my ass like that for them, and they were getting weaker and stuff, it was like all of a sudden it was weird. The tension left somehow, and we just became 100 times more loving. In the last year, we literally would say, I love you all the time.
That's awesome.
And it was like, oh, this is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 100 times happier that I had that than if I never got it.
Mm-hmm. I completely know what you mean.
So,
I think Winnie the Pooh said something about that, right? Wasn't it like it's somebody throw up the Winnie the Pooh quote? Do you remember it? It was something along those lines of, you know, you have it and then you know it, and I totally forget what it was. But
you know what's funny? You brought up Winnie the Pooh because one of my only good memories, I don't have many. We were at Disneyland. And there's a picture of me. I was hugging Winnie the Pooh and I wouldn't let him go so I could stay there. He's like, you gotta go, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no.
Yeah.
But you know, it was such a pure and wonderful time. Like, it's so bizarre to have to go to this pool where everyone's deathly ill and in pain and succumbing to this whole thing. But yet that's our best time. It's so twisted and bizarre. And you know, like but somehow we like love just came to the surface.
Yeah.
You know, like you just couldn't stop it, you know, and we became like really, really awesome the last, you know, 8-9 months. Like 1/3 of my best memories are in that. Yet that was such a horrific time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I'm also an optimistic person, and my mom was super optimistic. So I'd always have that, you know, 5-6% in the back of my head, like, we maybe could beat this shit, you know. Even though everyone's stage 4 and got more tumors than you could count, maybe we could beat this, you know? And because otherwise it's just too, you know, too ugly. So you have to keep that hope. But it allowed us to let like feelings come up. And I remember like our last Christmas together. I called my father, Dad.
I got to get my tissue.
So I called my father, Dad, and I said, I don't give a shit if you don't like it. And my mom was like, damn right, you know, and my sister's clapping. And I'm just like, we just turned this corner, you know, and it was just like, this is bullshit, you know. I'm gonna say stuff I mean and mean what I say if we only have a month left, you know. And but because of Scientology too, like, I had everything so buried, and I didn't even realize how buried I had everything. So I didn't know how to deal with it. So when everyone died, you know, I'm just like, I didn't even know what to do. Like, I needed to talk to my mom to find out what I'm supposed to do. Like, it was just, and I couldn't confront it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like, I never had a remembrance. And like, when I saw your, you know, all the stuff you did for Tony, you know, in Minnesota and Hawaii, was just so bitching. And I was like vicariously living through that. Like,
yeah,
because Tony was such a neat guy. And I mean, and it always made my day when he would hop in my chat. That was so bitching. And, you know, and a lot like my mom, and my sister, you know, Tony's one of those guys who you're just better knowing and you're just better being around, you know, and he just lights up the fucking room. You know, like, you could have a whole bunch of people like this and he'd come in and it would get better. You know, it's that kind. Those personalities are just the best. And I didn't have any of that, but like, my mom was just an amazing person. And I wish there was some she never once complained about her pain. Not once. She could barely move sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
She stayed with my dad till he died at the hospital and damn near broke her back sitting in this chair for 6 days. Or, I mean, she just wouldn't leave him. And she was that kind of person. And then she had my sister going all over the place to these people who can do anything supposedly. And she was in Phoenix getting this treatment. And I would come as often as I could. And then my sister had she was crying through the night for a month while she slept. My mom had to listen to that, right? While she's dealing with her own health issues. But she was so strong, she never broke. It just, the love, it shows you how powerful that is. It broke through all the bullshit. And even though she was crushed from my father's passing, that was her only love of her life, and she'd since 22 or whatever, and she was 82. I mean, that was it. So that crushed her. But now she's working with my sister. Yet she never broke. And I just found some. I was just looking at some texts on my phone, and from the day my sister passed, and the day before, and the day, and that was the last text I ever got from my mom, because I'll be okay. Just give me a second.
Totally all right. I cry all the time on live streams.
But I never.
You get to do that.
I just wanted to put a little bit of shine on my mom, and she was so strong. For my birthday, I'm doing this for my mom, so you guys have to hear this so you can see that she was the most amazing person ever. Because I don't know how you can get better than this. She writes, and I hadn't read this since it happened, and I just saw this the other day. She said, "Hi, sweetie, my sister. Condition is slowly worsening. She remains comfortable and relaxed, but has not shown any signs of consciousness. She already had a stroke, and she was on life support. And then they took her off of life support because they couldn't feed her because her stomach was full of blood. So she lasted like 3 days. She wanted to live so bad. And they couldn't understand how she could live 15 minutes, but she wouldn't die. And my mom didn't leave her. And she said we played Sting because that was her favorite. Bach and Beethoven today. There were live carolers yesterday and a women's trio today singing healing, peaceful songs. The trio came in to her room to sing privately to us. She relaxed even more during the performance. A gentleman with a darling therapy dog visited today also. Hold on. And she said everything is calm and safe. She is sleeping peacefully now. I'm spending the night. She seemed to want some company. I've been reading poetry aloud to her. The drone of my voice will knock anyone out. Sleep tight. And then the next day, hi, sweetie. She is relaxed and comfortable. Let me know if you'd like to talk to her. I can hold the phone up to her ear and promise not to listen. So I did that. And I told my sister that whatever is good in the universe is coming together. Yeah. And don't be scared. And then this is the last thing my mom wrote me. 4 hours later, she passed. She said, "Hi, sweetie. She's already started on her next journey. She left happy and yet peaceful and calm about an hour ago." And how anyone could I can't even read this shit. How anyone could maintain and go through that, I don't have a clue. But I mean, is that the most angelic thing you've ever heard in your life? I mean, there's nothing she didn't do that you could ever do. And then what made me what crippled me is because just a couple days later, and I talked to her the night before she passed, and she sounded so tired and beat. And I was like, we were supposed to meet that weekend. And I said, you know what? Why don't you stay at the Airbnb a couple more days? You know, just chill. Because she said, oh, it's a sunset, Sonny. She calls me Sonny. She goes, the sunset's amazing. And I was like, oh, that's great. Why don't you stay there a couple more days? Anyway, so the next day, and I lived in Vegas. The next day, I got my prime rib coming. Just puts it down, and I get a call from someone I don't know. Hello. And he says, my mom's dead. She's on the floor at the Airbnb, you know? And I was just like, so my mom had to die, you know, on the floor by herself. So I couldn't be there for her. So it's just so fucking unfair. But you know what? So, you know, everyone's got unfair stories, but like my mom deserved that recognition. And she's the only reason my family was she somehow figured out how to keep it going. And I don't know how, because we were all off of our rockers. So, you know, she was just such an amazing woman. Love you, mama. And
people know now, all the people here, all the people who hear your story, all of the people who, you know, amplify this message, all will know. So many people now know what your mom did and how much she, you know, how much love there was there. And you really honor your family in doing this.
like I said, I never had I couldn't confront it. So I couldn't, you know, and I didn't even know how to, like, I knew half of my sister's friends were still Scientologists, you know what I mean? I didn't want to see any Scientology. I didn't know how to go about any of this, and it was just too crushing. And I really needed my mom and sister to help guide me through how to do this, basically. So I ended up, you know, that's what you just heard is my whatever you call it. She's my mom. So
yeah, no, that's beautiful, Eric. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I totally get your mom. Your mom and your sister sound like amazing people. I mean, your sister with the adventures that she lived. I don't know her, but the way you describe her, I don't see her as somebody who faces death with fear. But
she wanted to live so bad, and I get it, you know, who doesn't? So, but I mean, she was determined to beat it, and you know, like I said, they thought she was going to go the second they took her off life support, and she lasted like 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, so but you know, I've because of this movement and because of people like yourself, I'm able to get so much of this shit off of me. And I thought I was 100 times stronger than I was, because you can think something and it's no big deal in comparison to saying it. It comes out of your mouth. It just crutches you.
Yeah.
But like a lot of stuff.
That's the thing though, Eric, you got to remember that it's not weak to experience those emotions. You know, the weak part is not facing it. It takes a lot more strength to face it and experience it.
Well, that was you helped me. Even though we're a mess, you helped me too, because like I said, I was vicariously like just sort of living how, like, in my head what you were going through, like, and how you celebrated Tony and stuff, and showing all that positivity, and because that's obviously what Tony would want. He wouldn't want you crying for 10 seconds, right? Yeah. And I know my mom wouldn't. You can see it. I mean, she did nothing. She never broke, you know, and was 1,000 times stronger than I could have been. And well, I don't know. I can be strong for other people, but myself, I don't know. And and I didn't know how to talk about stuff. I didn't know how to bring it up. I didn't have anyone to bring it up to, and who would understand or care, so it really is. And there's so many never-ends that actually have a ton of, like, they think they don't know, they know a lot. Like, I'm so shocked at how the never-ends have an enormous amount of data, about Scientology. I mean, amazing. And just from watching our stuff, and I was really, to me, this was really important. Like, one of my goals that I reached right away doing this was I wanted people to be able to go to my Translating Hot Garbage playlist, so that they wouldn't, because the only thing I ever been asked was, and it always comes down to this: why did you get in there? Like, why didn't you leave? And so I wanted to show people how that it's not like we're a bunch of dummies. It's they got us good. Give credit where it's due. They got us good. So it's not as easy as it seems. Just walk out and then not see your family. Like, there's no way. There's just no way I was going to allow that to happen. I would have eaten a million crap sandwiches to be able to keep seeing my mom, right? So, and I was never going to say a word that could sacrifice my sister. So I had to wait till 22. But even then, I didn't have anyone to talk to. So when this came, it's like, even though it doesn't seem like it, and I'm a mess, and I'm either blowing up or dying, I'm 100 times better than I was on Easter.
That's fantastic.
And I've gotten stuff, where I can now talk about it and confront it, where before I couldn't even look at it.
Yeah.
So I feel 100 times healthier and focused, and it's really nice to get that. I still got some on me, but I got most of the gorilla off me. And then fighting it is a really wonderful thing, because that's it's a beast what we're doing here. And for people who are in, to turn around and go fight the thing that crushed you, don't think for a second that ain't hard,
Yeah.
And I get triggered as hell around blue,
Yeah.
I can't even
ask about that.
I honestly thought I was a lot better than I was. Like, I was like, okay, I'm okay, and I was there for a month, and then a security guard would say one thing, and I just go mental, because unlike maybe a never in or someone watching or whatever, might think, oh, it's Odo, and like, see if you can help them. I look at them like, you guys are keeping people from leaving.
Yeah.
You're not there to keep people from breaking in. You're there from keeping people from leaving. You guys know where the passports are. Okay. How you guys are putting the end to any strife that does come up. I'm not a fan. Okay. Not a fan. So I would save everybody in there and leave OSA and the security. That's just me, So, some people, I would just chalk it up like, hey, F with the bull, get the horn, that's your deal. So I don't even care about it. But I know there's a ton of great people in there. And it's really hard when you see protesting, because I don't know protesting. I don't come from it. I didn't know there was 700 ways to do it that are all valid, so first I'm like, why are people yelling at the people? Who's going to come to us if we're screaming at them? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. But then I started, like, I got my own views, which were all I really care about. Like, the number one most important thing that I know we can do is keep new people from getting in.
Yes. And
I promise you, there's nobody going to walk over a whole bunch of chalk from Rika or the Toronto crew or Selfless or anyone else and shouting and carrying on. You're not going to walk in there and start the comm course with that shit going on. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have some questions, and they're not going to probably answer them too well. So we're doing a great job there. And then I wanted it to be something like, and that's why I do the flyer tech. I wanted it to be something everyone could do. Mm-hmm. Doesn't cost much. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Some fan, a fan of mine came out of the blue in Malibu on one of my beach, riding with Raider streams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she showed me that she's been putting them up in Malibu. I'm like, yeah,
So great.
And then there's two other people who have emailed me and shown me they've been putting them up, and I'm like, but they don't want to be on streams or chatting or nothing. And I'm like, that's so amazing that we can reach people. And that's what I was praying for. And I always thought my value was only going to be as much as I could influence somebody, to take part. And it's an amazing feeling, because I know we can all do this. And if everyone just keeps pulling each other up, there's only two things this community needs, in my eyes, to win. We only have to agree on two things, and that's that the cult is all bad, and you have to be absolutely unwilling to hurt a victim. Okay, I don't give a shit in what manner, way, shape, form. I don't want to hear it. You do it, you're off of my team. Okay, so that's it. Otherwise, you could hate my favorite color. You could hate the Raiders. We could not eye to eye on anything. It doesn't matter. We can still work together. This is if you're here for the right reasons. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm just pitching positivity. And I think my channel and you've seen it everywhere. Marilyn, Susie, all these channels are like, it's just all about the positivity. If you want to be one of those boneheads using your platform to be negative, don't be surprised when you're all alone soon. Or you might have a billion people, but not one of them cares about bringing down the cult.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very much like, some people describe it as, when you talk it being like a battle or a fight when it comes to Scientology. And my view has changed a lot on that, because I feel when I think about it, or what, when I share the things I do on my channel, it doesn't even feel like a fight, because I don't even consider them opposition. I mean, they're just, they're people who are there perpetuating abuses. That's a minority of them. The majority of them are people who are mentally trapped there, just like I was, just like you were. And that's not something to fight. What we fight the abuse, we fight the action, we fight the policy that backs it up. But even then, you're exposing it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing coming back. Not to say that they don't do things to try to fair game people and things like that, but you'll notice too, they'll try and do it to who they perceive to be as an easier mark. When you look at some of the things that was done to the protesters, and done to one but not the other, certain people who've been targeted that way but then not somebody else, it's very much like separating somebody out they feel or think might be weak, and they underestimate the amount of people that support those people and care about those people and want to see cults like Scientology end. And like you said, make it so that new people are not going in, but that the people are there have the option and the belief that they can leave, because most of them do not think that they can. The consequences of that in their mind is just too much, and that's being held there by a lot of mind control. And sometimes messages get through differently. When you're under that level of mind control, where the blinders are so thick, sometimes to snap you out of it, even for 5 seconds, it takes seeing a man like Scott with a king robe on and no shoes, or seeing somebody, like Tori or yourself putting up flyers, or seeing somebody who's talking actual L. Ron Hubbard, and they get to see it, and maybe it twigs how this doesn't apply. There's so many different reasons that people and ways they got into Scientology, that it's going to take so many different ways for them to leave and it to get through. And I think the thing is too, it's really not even that much of a battle. I look at it more of, it's about education. It's about raising awareness. And that goes for Scientologists who are in there. Because there's many people in our community who are like, look, I don't even care about the people in there. I just don't want any more people to go in. And I agree. I don't want any more people to go in, but I still care about the people who are in there, because I know it is a small minority that are truly evil people doing
Right.
evil things. The vast majority of them don't even know the half of it. They know
Right.
what they've experienced themselves, and they think it's only happening to them. And we know this because many of us, especially in the C organization, didn't realize till we came out and we were able to talk to each other and go, whoa, this was happening to so many people, but we were made to feel that it was only us. And the people who are there are still in that situation. But if they do get out and they walk down to a store and they see the flyers up repeatedly and they see people out there live streaming and asking questions, it all adds to opening their eyes because at some point you have no choice. And then something somebody says might resonate, like it did with Tori Magoo 44, when somebody asked her, if you're so free, why can't you read any book that you want to read? Things that make you think and get through. So I just really appreciate the different personalities and way people go about doing that. It's, I think where it goes off the rails is getting too much into the personalities. You know what I'm saying? Like where everybody's not going to all always get along all the time. We're working with people who I can speak for myself. It's like we're putting ourselves back together in many ways and we're figuring it out and we're doing this in real time. Many people, especially those of us who are ex-Scientologists, we're putting ourselves together in real time. I don't know of one person that I'm aware of even on, YouTube that people are familiar with who isn't doing that, who isn't still figuring it out and still separating out what was Scientology and what was them. And I think so many people never in Scientology relate to that because you're doing the same thing. What was your controlling upbringing versus what was you? What was the abuse you suffered? And then what is actually you? We're all figuring that out. And in the process of doing that, sometimes someone's going to say the wrong thing. They're going to step on somebody's foot about something. There'll be hard feelings about something. And you can either go down the rabbit hole and play a game of gotcha to try and show this person's that or this person's this, or recognize that we're just a group of very, very imperfect people putting ourselves back together in real time. And shit is going to go sideways sometimes. But when we
Yeah.
keep the focus on that, because like the whole point, even what you were saying with your family and that love that you were able to experience at the end, that makes it so worth it. That's what makes it worth doing this because people are leaving and people are not getting into Scientology. So we're accomplishing this at the same time. It's like if we can just try our best to show each other as much compassion and understanding and love as we can. And if you can't do that, then just take a step back. At least
Yeah.
don't fire a
Mm.
shot. Just
Mm.
try to do that because again, we're all broken people putting ourselves back together in real time in front of a lot of people on the internet. Many of us are still doing counseling. There's still I'm about to do the Natalie tour. I don't even know what to call it to just figure out what the heck I want,
Right.
beyond what I'm doing here on YouTube. And I want to do that through meeting different people and learning about them and hearing their stories like we are now. To not have what you had in childhood, but to have it at the end of life with your family members shows that it was there. There's something
Right.
about death and dying and loss that puts things in perspective where you realize why do I want to spend 5 minutes either in an argument or getting upset about something when the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. And that's
Excellent.
kind of like where I'm at now with things that I maybe should be caring a little bit more about. I just don't give a shit. I'm in the what makes Natalie happy and feel good mode is what is going to happen.
That's beautiful. I
I
love
start
that.
to, yeah, engage again and ask myself those questions of what it is that I want. But I do know more than anything, I do not want to become the thing that I broke free from. And I think
Exactly.
that's what we need to be conscious of is we don't want to become the thing that we're actually protesting, the control, the way that Scientology treats people, not having compassion. The biggest thing that I learned from people never in Scientology is grace, is giving people grace and then doing the same for ourselves. That is the biggest thing that I have learned from people never in Scientology. And amazingly, and almost like by magic, when we can do that, and it's not always easy, and recognize and be grateful, like the way you feel, like the gratitude you feel to have that with your family when you were losing them, you have that. That's something you're always going to be able to hold on to, and that's something that's real. And if nothing else from that story, to me, it's a message of, at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, love is the only thing. That's all we have.
It's the only thing that makes it has any value. And you're absolutely right. When my head's on straight, you know, and that's why my advice to people when they're like, you and I are very similar in this way. Like, I can be I've been an amazing leader for a lot of people and a great friend for a lot of people in a lot of different scenarios where I shined. Doesn't mean I'm worth a shit to myself. Okay. And that's just the truth. And it's like, like how you just popped up and became the Natalie that I know you are, just to support me. Okay. And where if you were just chilling on the couch with some tea or something, maybe you would have been in a different mindset, you know, but you're like, you stepped up to just, you know, help me right now, you know. And it's like, and I could feel that. And it's, but I always tell people, like, we are in control. So of our emotions, our feelings. Like, you know how people, you say something to someone, it's not what you said to them. That might be 80%. 20% is how that person took it, the mood they were in. Like if you asked a favor from a friend of yours when they were in traffic, you know, and barely avoided an accident and were late for work, and they're like, man, I'll get back to you. I don't fucking know. Blah, blah, blah. Right. But if you would have talked to that person when they were chilling after a shower, you know, and a Pacifico, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll do it. You know, it's not just what we say, it's to when and to whom and how were they when it was the right time to even advance this, you know. And so anyway, it's really easy to stay positive and ignore, because like my room, this is what I'm most proud of in this 4 months. I have, you know, they're all, you know, viewers of yours and everyone else, but I'm saying the people that I have in my room, I have such an amazing room. You'll never see a hiccup. It could be a 4-hour stream. You don't find the dingleberries in my room, because everyone's so cool and amazing that you stand out like a fart in church if you do anything untowards to somebody, and you immediately get the hook, because we don't care.
Yeah.
There's a million sites you can go to and raise hell. By all means, go to one. You know, this just ain't it. And so it's like we can easily control our own universe, you know, and make sure it's all positive and good. There's always going to be people, like I tell people, you know, if we're 6 people removed from Kevin Bacon, we're only 1 or 2 people removed from someone you don't care for that much. And if we do this open stream of conscious 500 hours a month on the interwebs, you're going to attract people, you're going to repel them, you're going to attract them again. There's no getting around it. And the person you really like enjoys someone you don't like too much, and then that person likes you very much. You know, who cares? That's not what we're here for. We're here to literally fight a beast, and we're all valuable, and we all make a big, big difference. And so, like after I had a little shit fit conniption a couple of weeks ago, and ever since then, I was like, I'm just going to be the change I want to see, period. Yeah. And so I started up a couple new shows with those explicit purposes of putting that shine on people. And you know how it is. We all had no subs at one point. Okay. Right. And you know, when you get that comment from, you know, LRH's High Tops, or, you know, Miscavige's Toothbrush is like, hey man, good job yesterday. And you're just like, that felt good. You know, I'm ready to go again, even though that really on paper shouldn't mean too much, but it did. You know, and that little acknowledgement. And so I have that Love Storming series I'm doing, where I'm just putting attention on and trying all of the traffic that comes to my channel, which ain't much. I'm just putting straight into someone who has nothing happening, you know, or hasn't been doing anything for a while. Try to make sure they know they're loved and respected, and that attention is real, and we do care, and we are here, and try to get them going again. And then just seeing my chatters and stuff, like it's so weird to fight alongside people that you really appreciate. And I see you every day, hey, Raider, hey, this person, that person, right? And you feel like you really know them, but you haven't had more than a 4-word conversation at a time. It's so amazing to see them smile,
Yeah.
and to see their personality. And I think it just adds to the camaraderie, and makes everything closer and better and more real, And so, and then the Thursdays at 2 show was just to put, that shine on the streamers, the protesters, that are just getting going also.
Yeah,
So,
it's great that you do that.
but
That's a great idea, is to be able to, highlight. That's part of why when I started doing my channel the way I do, is because it seemed that is kind of what was needed, to be able to have a spot, have a place where you can kind of get a rundown of what people are talking about, some news in regard to Scientology, in a way that also is, entertaining and as fun as you can make exposing a cult be, which turns
yeah,
out there's a lot of fun that you can actually have with it.
it is amazing.
It is. And it's every time that I do that, I find it's that much more healing. And I think it's that way for other people as well. Because for some people, they might not be able to bring down whoever their abuser was, but put that person on Scientology, which is maybe doing something similar and not that, and you can expose it, or other cults, right? And I think that empowers people and us. And it just, I'm just so incredibly grateful, because it wouldn't work without, being the different people that we are, and having the options of having different streamers and different people who do different things on YouTube, where you get to choose who you want to watch and where you want to spend your time and what you want to do and how you want to engage and all of it. There's definitely something for everyone here, and there's plenty of room. I mean, there's over 2 billion active users on YouTube. We still, in my opinion, we don't have nearly enough channels talking about Scientology and exposing Scientology. I'm really loving the number of people never in Scientology who are, whether they're live streaming outside the org, or they're doing things like, Declare Dave, Love Suppressive Sherry, and sharing and exposing Scientology, and interview, and people coming together, ex-Scientologists and people never in, who want to interview them or have chats. And it's so eye-opening when you can bring those worlds together, but it's not going to happen if it's separated. There's not ex-Scientologists only, and then people who are
Yeah,
never in, First Amendment auditors. No, that's all labels that are just labels to maybe simplify things more for us. We're really all in the same pot there, trying
yeah,
to do very similar things, even if it's for different reasons, which is why I always say, I'm not bothered if people come to my channel because it's entertaining and sometimes salacious because of what we talk about. Then stay and learn about Scientology, why it's a cult, and maybe a few things that you can do, like contacting your elected representatives and asking them where they stand on an inquiry into Scientology's tax exempt status. The more people that we can expose to these different channels, and people live streaming Scientology, are more people who can learn about why it's a human trafficking cult, and then something that they might be able to do to create change, because you never know who's watching your channel. It could be somebody who is involved, who maybe works for somebody high up, who can get a committee going in Congress to look into just different things or aspects of this. So we just don't, I think continuing to grow that. And that's why I want to go visit people and say, hey, let's highlight as much as we can. And that's what I like to do on my channel, is be able to highlight as many different people doing things and exposing Scientology as we can, so that they all grow and that we can help each other. It's so going to work. I can totally see it. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I know it's going to work, because I've never seen a time like this in Scientology, where they're truly suffering in terms of their numbers, in terms of people leaving, and the people who are leaving, planning to leave and have left. The number of times I hear about how supported they feel, even though they're not even online, they see people in the chat. They see that. They see people being supportive of ex-Scientologists, and it gives them strength, because the vast majority of them are not going to come on YouTube. They don't want to, and I don't blame them one bit. You know,
No.
they might never want to speak out about it, and that is completely okay. And that's part of why, in joining being on the board for the SPTV Foundation, that is something where being able to help people who've left is something that I really want to do, because there's all these different pieces of it. You do YouTube, that's like about like exposing Scientology and shining a light on that, and giving Scientology a hard time. And then, but at the same time, there'll be people who come out and need that support, who may, eventually want to talk about it. I talked about leaving Scientology when I first left, and then for a couple of years, and then I didn't for, I mean, gosh, what, maybe almost 8 years, almost 10 years, until last December. And,
Wow.
and then here I am. So it's just, people just have their own timeline, and that is okay. That's
Well,
completely okay. Our job is not to, force people in front of a camera in their, when they leave, but more to find out what kind of support they need and how can we help.
well, thank you so much for being here. That was incredibly exciting for me in my room. We were like, yeah. I mean,
Me.
I even sat on it for like a minute, but then once you said, okay, for sure that time, whatever today, I was
Yeah.
like, I threw it up on the community thing, and people are like, a girl tells me like, you got like 17 likes and it's not even open or something like. Like people are so excited, Natalie's coming, and it just felt so good. So I can't thank you enough. It feels like, again, it's that pat on the back and that acknowledgement, but also, just for me as someone who got run over by that beast, it's a wonderful feeling to know. I now have another person I can go to, and talk about stuff that totally understands 100% what I'm talking about, but like I said, I can talk to you for 37 hours, so I don't want you to stay any longer. But I know that Nora taught me I'm supposed to go to these starred ones real quick, and then
Yep.
we say goodbye, right? Isn't that how we do it?
Yeah, or however you like to do it. You get to do anything you want. You could do the start comments, and then I can bow out, and then you can still talk to your chat. Continue.
Okay, I don't even know. Okay, what? So I click. Oh, here we go. Okay, hustling the clock out. I'll make a pint by 4. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Brooke. You are awesome. Like, oh my gosh, she won't stop. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you for the membership, Sin. I mean, these are the most amazing people in the world. I don't know why they're giving me anything. You guys already give me enough. Thank you so much, Brooke. Your love for all shine. Oh, your mom's. Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jess Blue. 5 memberships. Wow. Thank you. What's up? Doesn't matter. 5 memberships. All right. Thank you so much. Good Lord. Denise, another 5 members. We're crushing it. Thank you. Here we go there. Thank you so much, Denise. Another 5. Haggis Basher. Thank you so much. This is crazy. Oh, Queen, new member. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, I didn't click it. There we go. There you go. Thank you so much. And this is one of my absolute favorite new names I've been seeing around. Cats hate cults. I love that. Gifted 5 memberships. Oh, that's so great. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. Everyone, you need to say goodbye to Natalie so she can get on with her day. And again,
check out those dogs.
thank you so much. I'll stick around, chat for a minute with you guys in case you had any other questions, but I can't thank you enough. That was super special for me. So
I'm glad
I appreciate you so much.
you have a community around you. I mean, you got an awesome chat, all these people here. And, you know, the rest of us content creators is as much as we can be there for each other, I'm all for it. So I'm glad I got to come on. I think I halfway invited myself.
Well, if you notice too, half of my chats now, like I think they were successful bugging Nora.
Yeah.
And then, so now I think that's sort of the route they were taking. So I think, you know, I'm a little embarrassed, but I also think it's hysterical. So,
No, it's great.
you know,
It's great. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, chat, for being so supportive of Eric. I love the love that you guys are showing him, and I really appreciate it. And Eric, I know I'll talk to you again, and I'll probably see you in the chat tomorrow on my channel.
you absolutely will. Thank you so much, Nat.
Eric.
See ya. All right. That was amazing, right? Let's go live. Here we go. Okay. Oh, hide current. Okay. Chapman love bugging. Kathy, thank you so much. Life after work. It's the Michigan shirt. That's great. Rika says Natalie can invite herself to anything I'm doing. Margie, almost everyone is green. You guys are incredible. Thank you, Ann. You're always here. We love you. All right, Magnus from Tulsa. That's my boy. Eaglewood, thank you for being here. David Bruce, you're always here. Can't get enough of you. Hi, Lady Jane. Stan, thank you. Mary James, awesome. Degraded daughter. All right. Did anyone have anything else to say to me? Hi, Jersey Jan. No, thank you, Erie. You've been amazing. You're always amazing. And I'm never calling you Nightmare. I'm calling you Erie forever. Thank you, Brooke. Well, thank you, Rika. Well, you guys are going to see me tomorrow, I hope, Thursday at 2. So, and we do have, you know, we're bringing the A plus, the A-listers. Oh, thank you, Fluffer. Yeah, it's like I said, I'm 100 times. I know I can't prove it, but I'm 100 times better today than I was on Easter. And I can see the way out, you know. So it's just up to me, you know, to keep working, you know. Well, thank you, Justice. That's so nice of you. Me and Taz, you're always there for me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandy. You and Nancy are the greatest. Bond, James Bond. All right, that's great. He's spent. Someone thought Magnus was from Tulsa. Oh my God. No, I didn't. I use wet wipes. I'm totally good. I don't mess around. Adam, I owe you a big thank you. Adam's always bringing the chuckles, and he's made my chat a wonderful place for 150 hours already. Oh, look at that. Mama Main. So glad to see you. I enjoy watching your channel. Haggis gifted me a membership. I usually don't chat, but wanted to thank Haggis again. Well, she deserves it. Thank you, Mama Main. Goosebump. Oh, I I have a playlist, Queen, that is protesting hot garbage, and that's just whatever we do every day. I put the shows in their separate playlists, but the series is the translating hot garbage. That's where, and I recommend everybody. You don't have to do it at once. You could do 10 minutes a day. I made it really easy to digest. I break it down specifically for never ends, so you can just see how everything works and what it's really for. And this will give you a hell of a lot of empathy, because you'll see why we all got stuck. You know, it's incredibly evil and it's amazingly effective. And anyway, I break it all down so everyone can understand it, so people don't just think we're idiots. But I advise everyone go check that out. Yes, it is, Love Maddie. Oh, thank you, Spartacus. I feel like that. I really do. I feel like it's if you would have told me I could feel like this on Easter, I'd have thought you're crazy. So, but then again, like I said, I couldn't. I've just been taking it day by day, the cliched way to do it, and it's worked. I just let me get through today somehow, and then some days are easy and wonderful, and some are brutal. So, but I'm here for it. But I think I've gotten over the hump. So, um, thank you so much, Margie. Oh, thank you so much, Fluffer. I appreciate you, Brian. You've been here since day one. Um, uh, Probably not, because I'll be at the fair, and then I'm gonna see Alice Cooper. So I'm gonna try to drink 300, 400 beers and eat all the fair food. Eerie. Thank you, Kathy. Oh my God, thank you so much, Glitter. That's amazing. Thank you. That means everything. Oh my God, thank you, David. You guys are, and I don't know how I even got here. Um, that was a funny stream. Oh my God, that was funny. Hi, Grizz Blizz. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. You're absolutely right, Glitter. I don't even, I don't know how I got here. Um, Thank you so much, Jersey Jan. I believe that. I do. I know this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. I can't tell you. Oh, here's the translating hot garbage. uh, Thank you, Goosebump. Thank you, Jersey. Uh, you find it on my playlist. Go to my playlist, and then you'll see translating hot garbage. I think it's at the bottom, and protesting hot garbage. I really believe that, Adam. This is a chat where everyone manifests their best selves. It's just amazing. Uh, oh, Magnus, that's great. That's for sure, Power Lies. I sure hope so. It looks like it though. Hey girl, can I just say chat was like freaking awesome, and I do love this movement and appreciate you for being ready to be. Oh, that's so cool. 100%, 100%. I found it. Hands yellow, heart red. Thank you, 91. Thank you. Doesn't matter. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's for sure. Yep, it's at the bottom. Thanks, Goosebump. I will do that. And thank you, 3 Lorries. All right. I don't want to keep you guys. Hubbard was malice pooper. Oh, Gail, you're awesome. Thank you just for being here. That's great. I love it. No kidding, Haggis. Yeah, maybe that is what happened, Brooke. I don't know. All right, everybody. I think there we go. Oh, thank you, Susie. All right, guys. Listen, that was amazing. I'm so glad you guys were here for it, and love the replay crew. So without you guys, we would have no replay crew. So we appreciate everybody here, and take good care of yourselves. Thank you so much for being a huge part of my healing, I mean, I think I got a chance, So thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate you. Big hug to all of you guys. And Incineration Nation, I am really proud of us. And it's time for a beer. All right. Love you guys. I'll see you soon. Take care.